Okay, I think I might be something else.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
we're ready.
So we will call the Public Works Standing Committee meeting of Tuesday, December 9th, 2025 to order. Approve the November 25th meeting minutes.
I move to approve.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Public Works update.
Did everybody get a chance to
Yes,
look at what I
thank you
sent
for
out?
doing that.
I'll run through it as quick as I can. Start with stormwater. We adopted the new stormwater PER. It identifies, a pretty important project in the Adams and Grand area, as well as the Broadway project. I just want to bring those up and kind of get them on your radar. I think we should entertain some conversation about, applying for the Montana Coal Endowment Grant. The deadline is in May. You can only apply for that grant every 2 years. Due to a recent survey of Red Lodge and our economy, they actually upped what we can get now from $500,000 to $750,000. I think this project will score very well, and those grants are getting competitive. It'll score well because it does address stormwater going into sanitary sewer. That's high on the DQ score list. The other thing that'll score well, and it's not official yet. I saw it last year when I testified for the wastewater project. They drill everybody about what's your contribution to this project.
Okay.
There's talk that they're gonna incorporate that into an actual scoring procedure for the grant based on how much you contribute. And because we have the 1% and the stormwater reserves, we're gonna contribute significantly to it. I know in the funding scenario that was brought up in the PER, it showed a loan from SRF to cover what was left, because it's about a $2.8 million project, I believe. That's what they're estimating. I think there are, and that would, if we did that, that would bump the stormwater rates up $1.59, I think, or something. I think I'm gonna sit down with Lonnie, and maybe Katie at Great West and kind of look at that pretty hard. I think we can, I think we can trim that number down, hopefully significantly, or eliminate it, depending on what we have in that 1% bucket of money, and looking at our, when they put together a stormwater maintenance budget, I think I need to look at that a little harder. We're not spending that money.
Okay.
So I think there's a way to get around that without having to do a loan, or maybe do a very minimal loan.
Okay. So for that grant, would Great West apply for that grant for us? Okay, so it's not anything that we have to, we just have to authorize it, or?
I feel like a responsible timeline for it would be to have council approve going for the grant in January.
Okay, so,
Coming up there.
so right away.
Application,
Okay.
and it's due in May.
Okay.
So it's like, okay.
And I feel like, just where everything's going with Public Works and Red Lodge, we're getting a pretty good handle on water stuff. Where we're gonna run into trouble is with sewer capacity, and this is a good, hopefully, a way to mediate that by getting the water out of the sewer.
So do you want that on our next agenda for the first meeting in January? So that we,
I think that,
okay.
We don't have another meeting this month?
No,
we're
we
done.
can't, we canceled
We're done
it
after
because our last
tonight.
I
one.
think we
Christmas.
should have the discussion next meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
So it has to
Agenda.
be discussed before it can be.
right,
Yep.
Yeah,
grant application, okay,
so, yeah.
okay, below the
so-
fold. Okay,
Wastewater, not much. Wastewater phase 1 complete, closed out. Draft plans for phase 2 are complete. We're going over those, right now, trying to hash out details. Water, we did have, every 3 years, we get inspected by the DEQ, it's called a sanitary survey. It's a published document where they go through the whole water system, take a hard look at it. We passed with flying colors. It's available here or online, I believe, if people want to look at it. We're going to recommence work on the 16-inch bypass project with the new PRV in January, and we're still waiting for draft plans for the 26th project. This one's, I think I've brushed on this a little bit. I have an update from the streets. The EDA street project came, the engineer's estimate, we budgeted an extra $200,000 to meet that. The bids came in quite a bit under the estimate, so we have extra money. I talked about doing what we were gonna add for extra roads. And we talked about the Coal Miners Park Road. I've got the cost estimates for that and tying together the piece of Bonner that's not done and the piece of Third between Bonner and Hagen so that all that area will be done and not kind of body up there. And we come in, we at first when we figured out that we didn't have the numbers quite right, but we're under what we budgeted to do that.
Nice.
So it's not a done deal yet. We still have to run it by EDA for their approval. But I did ask the engineers to present that to EDA, and we'll see what they say. So that looks like it's on track. Sidewalk incentive program, I guess, is getting discussed tonight.
Yeah.
So that's good. Stream banks closed out. Parks, DNRC project development grant with the trees is about 80% complete. Got some work left to do on that. I have been picking up the Pride Park improvement or maintenance project, redoing the planters and the slab. And I've got 3D renderings for 2 different versions of what we had designed. We're going to fine tune those and hopefully get that up to bid in January, February. We did a little work up at Coal Miners before it got wintry. We're going to keep working on the circle up there this spring. I put a note in here about the pool. We're going to have a meeting in January. We're going to try and start getting things rolling for the pool a little earlier this year, and try to get, just try and maybe have a little smoother season this year.
Yeah.
So we're going to meet with pool personnel in January. Solid waste, we've completed our contract. We submitted to Republic Services, and we're still waiting for relations back from them. The only other thing I had to note was we had a safety inspection at the shop by the Department of Labor and Industry. We had 4 minor hazards identified. They were rectified, and we passed with flying colors. And that report is available at Public Works if you'd like to see it.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Any questions for Mike on his report?
Mike, how long are those reports? How long are those reports that you get up there, the DEQ and the?
How long are they?
Yeah, like I'm just wondering about scanning them and having available down here as well.
They would be like the sanitary survey, I believe, should be on the website now. It's like 10 or 11 pages. This one was 9 or 10 pages. So we can put them on there if you like.
At the very least, I'd like for them to be available here so that people can.
No, they came out really good. I mean, we got, they always have to find something on the safety one. And
have to justify
I
everything.
think our 4 violations were, we have a lift in there that's barely a year old. And it's supposed to have an annual inspection sticker on it. We didn't have an annual inspection sticker on it. We had a harness that didn't have a date on it or when it was purchased, so we had to throw it out. You can't have a harness that doesn't have a date on it.
Get the Sharpie.
And, we had a table saw that didn't have the little cover for the blade on
The
it,
blade
so we put the cover on it, and on a grinder,
Mhm.
a bench grinder, the little guide can only be 1/8, 1/4, I don't know. It was too far away from the cutting wheel, so we had to adjust that. Those were our 4. pretty
Wow, they
big-
went over,
We'll send Jody up for a pre-inspection next year.
Well, we only leave one cord with tape on it out there, so that they have an easy
an easy one.
one, but they missed that one this year.
Oh, my Lord. Sounds like they went through it with a fine tooth
Yeah, I was
comb.
gonna say, get out with the measuring, like, this is too far.
Wow.
Impressive.
Okay. All right. Next up on the agenda, Dave, did you get that to put on the Public Works agenda, discussion below the fold on the first January meeting, the grant application?
Mm-hmm.
I did,
Okay,
actually.
perfect.
And Mike and I are gonna have a conversation even between now and then.
Okay,
So,
perfect. All right. Parks Board and Sustainability Board update, so,
Well, we're between the two, so, well, Jody, you were there too.
yeah, I was there. Mike was there.
Well, I thought it was a good meeting. Roger handled it pretty well, I think. Room was packed, probably 40, 50 people here online. And, Tom Kuntz gave a slideshow presentation of what they want to do at the Lions Park. And, then he took questions and took questions and took questions. And I
Mhm.
think that, I don't know,
Yeah.
I think that I don't know what to say about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, he gave his presentation and he very, graciously answered a lot of questions. And, yeah. That's, Mike, did you have any comments on the Parks Board meeting?
I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
I think it was a good representation of the people that live right there.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
And and nothing on sustainability at this
well,
time?
that's next week.
That's next week, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you have any comments, Dave, before we move on to the TCC side program?
I believe that, we're probably gonna have, Tom scheduled to do a presentation and below the fold in January,
Okay,
or on there. And one of the things that I've requested they kind of focus on is the different options they've looked at, because I know
Okay.
they are and continuing to look at a lot of options, and there's been a lot of suggestions come in. And I think that I think that people need to be aware of all the options they are looking at and considering, and why they are focusing in or going.
yeah,
to
and, when I went to that steering committee meeting for you, Nick Gaddy also said that he plans on working very closely with BR on, the project up at Coal Miners, and, including downward facing lights and, working with them on, probably having a cutoff time for the park to be closed in the wintertime, because
I know
it's dark at 4 o'clock, so,
They also need to deal with the
yeah,
DEQ
yeah.
and the mine folks.
Yeah, and they realize that there's a lot more work to go into that. Nick understands that,
We're at
so,
the beginning of those discussions.
yeah. So I just, there's a lot more work going into these, and so
Yeah,
I expect Nick to come and do the same thing once they get some more of those details ironed out, only on the Coal Miners Park project. So,
Will this mean that they've gone into because I was struck by how little information they gave us the other night.
Can you finish the first sentence? Will this mean they've gone into?
Phase 2 or a different phase, because he doesn't know, he didn't have a lot of information to give people, and so a visit by him with not any more information isn't really helpful.
except it'd be to all of council and not just the Parks Board,
That's,
Well-
and like I said, so.
because we
so
haven't had
they
one at
don't-
council.
They do not yet have, part of their grant is actually design phases, but what I would like them to speak at is, we looked at the top of Brewery Hill, we looked at Field School Park, we looked at Coal Miners Park, we looked at Eagle's Nest. We look at, there's a whole bunch of conversations, some of which had taken place prior to that first meeting that was held. What I'd really like, if we get a time machine, I'll let you know, and we'll go back and have them redo that meeting again, but, but in the absence of a time machine, what we're responsible for is the city portion of this, and we will continue to handle it as we have everything at the city, with lots of vetting and lots of going cycles, and like I said, I don't think anybody can make an argument that things do not get proper vetting and information out there before stuff gets through council. We have a full public discussion meeting on it before we ever put it on for action, and so
Yeah.
we'll continue that, so.
Okay. All right. So now we are on, for tonight, discussion tonight is the 50/50 sidewalk program. And that was in the packet. Let me just pull it up here, sorry.
I just get that over to Dennis, and he read through it, and
Okay,
he said it looked good.
okay. And then he just kind of cleaned it up a little bit, it looks like, compared to what we had, maybe? Maybe not. Or was it good? Okay. You just,
I think he just said, looks good to me.
looks good, okay. Well, we'll just, does anybody have any comments on that? Because it's just up for discussion tonight, so
Okay.
it's
No, I don't
not up
have
for
any.
action. You're
No, I
good?
don't have any.
Okay.
No.
As we know, we're, doing the 50/50 sidewalk program. We've set the city's responsibility limit at up to $10,000 per project. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll be that per project. And we'll just talk about it tonight, I guess.
What was it, so city limit was up to 10K per project.
Mhm.
What were we
I gotta
at?
find
Were
it.
we capped out at? Just,
Yeah, 10. That's the most.
That's 10, in addition, the other thing was 10 plus destruction.
plus
work.
demo, 10K plus destruction, plus demo.
Plus demo work at city's option.
Yeah, here it is. So,
Basically, Public Works has to agree to do that. They may not because of either workload or because the demolition is such that if there's any exposure or vulnerabilities to the city,
Oh,
we
right.
won't take that on.
yeah. So funding will come from the resort tax funds. It will equally share the cost of replacing sidewalks with the adjoining property owner up to $10,000 per project.
And Mike and I have a bet about whether we could spend all the money in the first year. He says, no way.
I'm backing off of that.
Yeah.
We had a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, good. Well, the great thing about it is that we've, our budget for this year ends June 30th.
Mhm.
So we have $50,000 in that budget. So July 1st, we should have another $50,000. So you really have $100,000 to spend next summer.
Okay,
If
so that's
you-
what I was asking.
you know.
Like, what were we budgeted for? 'Cause
50,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
we budgeted 50 and there was a question about how, if we could get the word out and make people, it generally takes a couple of years to kind of ramp up. But I think we've been socializing it and getting the
Yeah,
information out
right.
there.
So,
And now I'm backing off because you reminded me that it's the deadline's the end of June. I think it's one of those fun little rivalries
Yeah.
to have, and the town
Yeah.
benefits from it all the way around, so.
yeah, perfect. Okay, so, we'll go ahead and get this introduced tonight so that we can have that discussion. Hopefully, we'll be able to put it above the fold in January.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? Good, okay. All right, next.
I just have one kind of request as I wrote down notes, and let's get this on here and below the fold stuff, and that is, given the long break we have between this meeting and our January meetings, I would like to request that everybody go home and write out their January agendas tomorrow, while it's fresh on your mind, and we'll
Okay.
revisit them before then.
Okay,
But the more we get that done, the less likely we are to get there and go, oh, crumb, we forgot something.
Oh. I'm doing notes now.
okay. I don't know what happened. in my-
Mike, do you have, I noticed that our signs were not in yesterday, our bear trash signs.
Yep, they're in, and,
They are now?
oh yeah, I got them up there,
Oh, no, I noticed that they were not installed.
They're not installed, no, I haven't
How
been
did I
able to
lose
get out
that?
the lift schedule.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, we're going to, I borrowed a man basket, we're gonna put on a loader and try to do the one at Public Works and see if that'll work.
Okay.
And if it will, then it'll be safe, I got a man basket, it's got a guardrail.
With a,
Now that OSHA's gone?
Yeah.
With a harness with no date?
It'll be legal, so we're gonna try and get that one up tomorrow, we were gonna do it today, but then the wind forecast scared us off, and we decided.
I
to
think
spray
that's called
ice.
wisdom.
Weird.
So-
Yeah.
But if that works good, then I think we're gonna just put a pilot car behind the loader and drive it up to the other one too.
Or if you need a driver.
So
Okay.
we'll see how tomorrow goes. Hopefully there won't be wind, but we didn't have much wind today for what was forecasted.
well, I think it's coming
We'll
now.
make-
What were those signs for?
Last
I'm sorry.
These, the cover your trash signs for basically,
Don't feed the bears.
yeah, don't train the bears bad behavior.
Don't feed the
It's that,
fluffy.
protect yourself, protect the bear is the campaign, so.
Or the entrance sign to the community, is that what?
There's two, they're the ones that currently say YWS or Yellowstone Wildlife Sanctuary. There's one at the north end of town, and there's one at the south end of town, right by Public Works,
Mhm.
and it's both sides of those signs, and they are 8 feet high and 12 feet wide. They're basically 3 4 by 8 sheets to mount on, so they're 8 by 12 signs.
I'll have to pay attention when I go home.
Okay.
When they're up, you'll say, oh, that's new.
Mhm.
Okay.
When did that get there?
All right. Well, I don't know if we really, I put these other two on the agenda. Haven't really got into the governing the residential trash cans too much. I don't know if we want to save that for next year, as well as the noxious weeds ordinance. To next year, I'm happy to start having a discussion today if you want, but I'm also realize that it's a whole month until our next meeting. So
Mhm.
it's up to you guys. If you want to make a motion to move those to next year.
Make a motion to move to January 13th,
Yeah.
2026.
I second. Wait,
Both of them.
Both of them? Okay.
is our next meeting January?
13th, yes.
You're not gonna be here?
Okay.
Fine.
Okay. So, all those in favor?
You're gonna get
Aye.
appointed to all
Okay.
the bad committees.
So we are moving those two,
Yeah, that'd be good.
because those are gonna be some big discussions we have to have, and, I'm okay with putting those off till January. So, review priorities, projects, and timelines of the committee. I think those will be two of the things we'll address next year. Any other things that anybody feels that you can see coming up that we're gonna have to talk about next year right away? It's a good time to.
Is Public Works snow on Broadway sidewalks?
What?
Is the Public Works snow, we talked about that at Public Health this morning, about starting to shovel the downtown for people.
Let me jump in and rephrase. So the Public Works snow, and there was a discussion in Public Health and Safety, one that's come up before, about allocating resort tax dollars to, hire out. We do not have the staff resources to do it, but is rather than continuing to have this battle on Broadway, do we want to hire and I haven't had a chance to talk to Mike yet to basically get a bid or a proposal of what that would look like, and then maybe take that to resort tax and propose
Public
that.
Works has an opinion about that.
Pardon?
Public Works
Wait,
has.
I would like-
No, I know, and that's,
And we just need to write the tickets or have people go clean it and then build up the people that are responsible by ordinance.
and
Yeah.
that's,
We have to try that.
that's their ordinance, that's
I know.
that's their
I-
January.
Rather
I agree with you, Mike.
than
I
resort
really
tax money on
do.
that, it can be spent benefiting everyone in Red Lodge, either through our parks, our infrastructure, helping out somebody who's not following the law, is a bad use of resort tax money, Public Works opinion.
And, no, and I welcome that, and they have that as their number one agenda that they're finishing, because that was something that got worked on quite a bit, and then it turned into summer, and then they quit, and then suddenly it turned into winter again.
Yeah, I know, that
So there
happened.
was an ordinance that was started, and basically what it has is similar to what we have on weeds, which is also what we're talking about, well, actually, it's on, we're talking about on noxious weeds, which is, we'll fix the problem and the bill will be on your taxes.
Right. And I think
And we are having that conversation on sidewalks.
no, and I think that we should also start having that conversation about residential sidewalks too. Because there's a lot of people that are having to walk in the street, and it's not safe, and, you know, especially when it gets dark.
I was thinking that residential sidewalks were also covered, but I
They're
pulled
not.
up section 4-3- of municipal code today, and it's not
No.
universal.
No, it's not universal. The only thing that has an ordinance to remove the snow on the sidewalks is downtown Broadway.
There was, yeah, and I remember, but anyway, they are revisiting that, so that's certainly within council's purview to do that, so.
Historically, there used to be, and it was removed.
Yeah, I remember when we first moved here, it was there, and a lot of, and I
It's still being
didn't,
there, so I was surprised.
when they were having the conversation on Facebook, I did not comment, because I want people to think there's still an ordinance.
I kind of noticed that, but Jody's not chiming
Chiming
in here.
I know, I was like, no, you go ahead and think there is one, that's good. Get out there and shovel, so, but, I don't know, I think it's your responsibility, and I understand, you know, the elderly and things like that, but, you know, I think there's ways, programs that we could set up where we could help those people that can't, who either cannot afford to have it done, or, you know, I mean, the Community Foundation has a lot of resources too for people like that. And if you have a second home, I don't think that's an excuse just because you're not here. You need to hire someone to
All the more
take care of it.
reason to
Yeah.
do it.
And so, and I realize, you know, that 30% of our homes are second homes, so, you know, but
30%.
it's always been about 30% are second homes, yeah. So, and as you'll see tonight on our short-term rental presentation, about 10% of them are short-term rentals, so,
10 of the 30.
10%, yeah, not in addition, no.
No.
Now, I will add that what we have in code right now does say, in the case of noncompliance, the Public Works Director may remove such snow and ice, and they can be collected at the city taxes. So for the ones that are covered by that right now, we can do that. We'd have to go back through and see what those times are there, so.
Yeah, and I really would like that to be enforced. I mean, I would get out and shovel, and it's just part of having
We've all seen you.
a store on Broadway, you know. You have to make it safe. You have to.
It's part of having a home in Red Lodge.
It is, yeah. We get lots of snow. You need to. I mean, and there's times, you know, where, you know, we get 5 feet. You're not like it's a lot. So it does happen. So.
Yeah, I think part of the problem that might come up later in the year with the residential stuff is some of the sidewalks get buried. There's no room for
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
When there's.
Yeah, and then the city.
For not cleaning that up, 'cause there's nowhere to put it.
But when it's like that, the city could put out a notice that, and they did that one year when, Bill Larson and we'd gotten so much snow that winter. He put a notice out that, you know, because of the amount of snow, you won't, yeah, that's how it was handled. It was like an executive order, you know, we're lifting this right now, you know. There's no place, until we find a place to put the snow, it
No,
is what it is.
Where are we, because we budgeted for a dump truck so that we
We've
can help.
been shopping like crazy.
Okay, so, but we're still looking, it's
We're
still up
looking
there.
hard.
And that'll give us the ability to help move snow, to help keep away from that
Yeah.
process too, so.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
But at the same time, I will tell you that we've had conversations where there have been ones that we've looked at, and we've said we don't feel good because X, Y, or Z, so.
Yeah.
We'll wait until Mike says, this is the good one, this is the steal, this is one we need to move on.
I've made it kind of a contest of guys that are always looking on their phones and.
Who's gonna find it?
I know.
It's hard to find one with an automatic transmission. That's what we need. because all of our guys are only licensed for automatics. That's what our plow trucks are now.
I just figured it was a generation thing, but
I know, I'm like, wait, what, they don't know how to drive a
I
In order to get, in
stick?
order to get licensed for a stick shift, you have to go through the whole process.
oh my goodness.
The ones I drove on the ranch, they were stick, and they had the things on them. But I didn't have to be licensed because it was a ranch, so you didn't have to have a CDL to drive a farm truck.
In Colorado, I was hoping to find something a little closer.
Was there a designated area for snow to be dumped? It's removed from,
Yeah, last year, people were dumping it up at the fairgrounds.
And we still make that available, so anybody who wants to transport their snow, they're welcome to dump it up in basically
Yeah.
that rodeo parking, kind of down toward the end of where the ski
We're
touring
The
is.
ski touring is, right?
This
Yeah.
year, 'cause last year it got kind of pushed into the airport.
Yeah, it'd be great just to have that designated spot, because there's a lot of parking lots, like Rods and stuff, where you just get too much snow when you need to get it hauled off, you
And
know?
the people who are hiring folks to do that, yeah, we want to accommodate that to the extent we
Well,
can.
towards the end of last year, there's a lot of people hauling snow.
Yeah.
It kind of started after the first snow party, and then everybody just jumped on the bandwagon. There were people dumping up there every day for the end.
Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have put designated snow dumping area.
Okay. Any other things? We'll just tackle things as they come, any other main projects? Okay. All right, public comment part. Yes?
Posted 517 North Hauser, and I'll try to talk loudly enough, so it gets on the recording. So 3 different times tonight you said below the fold. What does that mean?
The work session, the council work
And then it's
session.
folded in half, or your piece
Yeah.
of paper folded in half. The action items are at the top, and then
Our business part of the
on the
meeting is above the fold, and then below the fold is the
I don't
council
have
work
it.
session where we discuss things, make sure all of council is on board with being ready to vote for it.
So if you look at the city council agenda,
Okay,
and so everything makes its way through the bottom
okay,
before it makes its way to the top. And occasionally there are things that don't get an opportunity to do that, which is why there's that funny little asterisk thing.
okay.
But basically, council has the prerogative to say, nope, your failure to plan doesn't make it an emergency for us. But again, as part of that, our goal is not to get things done fast. Our goal is to make sure that they are properly vetted and everybody has an input. And all
Everything
of the
goes,
opinions have had a chance to weigh
everything
in.
goes through a standing committee, and then it goes below the fold to council discussion, and then it goes above the fold
Okay.
for action. So,
I learned something new tonight.
I know, so we talk about things like 3 or 4 times.
That's kind of our own little term we've made up for the
Yeah.
work session
Yeah.
and the there, but it's just because if you were to
So,
fold it,
it means that there's like at least 3 times that
Mm-hmm.
it'll be talked about, you know, before we finally vote on it.
before we take action on it.
Okay. So I've lived here a long time, and I've lived through a lot of public works directors, and I just want to compliment Mike on what he's doing with the city and the public works, and especially like today, when it's all slushy, and you can just imagine it freezing and being rutted and everything else, which is what former some, quite a few, have let happen in the past. So it's so nice to see the plows out there today, pushing that stuff off to the side,
Yeah.
so people can drive, and people can walk and cross the street.
That, just so that, and I think Mike does a fantastic job as well. But just to set and manage expectations, there are times when it's wet and snow that we will choose not to plow, because what we'll do is we'll end up piling it over in front and then it freezes. So a lot of it is balancing with what the weather forecast and the conditions and stuff are too.
Well, I appreciate that you looked ahead at the weather report and decided today was a good day to do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So I've been attending all these committee meetings, and I'm understanding, I know they're important, but I thought they're just committee meetings, what happens at committee meeting? But now I understand about under the fold, below the fold.
I know.
Well, and the committee meetings are really where you get a chance to come and talk and get that input in.
Yeah, and I
It's
appreciate
less
that,
formal.
that as citizens we're allowed to do that. And I understand that there's a lot of oversight that the committees do. So just kind of to go back to ice skating and the sledding hill over there, you all have a role in saying, we'd like to see this, that, or the other? And does Mike have a role in that to say, because it's been said in 2 or 3 of the meetings that I've attended, the public meetings, that eventually the city will probably take over this, or the resort tax will have to pay for the maintenance of some of the things. So, I just wonder how much oversight this committee and the Director of Public Works has.
Do you want to answer that, Dave? or
Yeah,
you want me to?
I'm happy to.
Okay.
So yeah, all of those things that somebody applied for a grant, if they're involved on city property, the city has to approve it. And that's actually why I'm on the steering committee for that, when they put that together, is to have somebody from the series, right, and say, that's got to go through city council. That's got to go through city council. In addition to that, before city council takes actions, we will get staff reports with staff recommendations. So one of the things that you've heard come up several times, and you alluded to it, is the city is going to take over that. That's kind of already guidance we know, because we've heard it before as we have conversations with our public works director. Is anytime anything comes in, the working assumption is we're going to be responsible for that maintenance. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
And so on both of those projects, in addition to going through Parks Board, because they have an advisory function in that as well, there will be a staff report. There's been guidance that's been provided already, but ultimately we have to wait until they have a plan and a program before it's there. But there will be a staff report that comes in that's made to council, and then council gets to weigh that in. And you'll see that if you ever go to any of the planning board meetings, you'll see that our planner puts together a staff report and says, here's this, and these are the recommendations, or here's where we go.
And you're right. I mean, yes, it's great that you have a user group that's willing to take on that expense right now. But we as council, and I'm on admin and finance, will absolutely want to know, and I'm also on the resort tax committee, if and when the city does have to take that over because the user group is gone or done, you know, what is their budget? How much is it costing them to maintain that property right now? You know, and they have volunteer time, but we don't. You know, we have employees we have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mike would want all of that information because that's his budget.
And a really good example of that, a far less contentious project, Pride Park, right in the middle of town.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful park. The flower ladies come in and take care of it and everything else. We're dumping 70 grand is what we're, 80 grand in it right now to basically do a refresh and repair and damage that's coming out of resort tax. So all of these folks involved are very, very much aware because it's part of our budgeting process every year. What are we going to, do we want to take on another project? Because it's not, you're not, and if those, in those conversations, you'll hear, this isn't a decision about. So one of the things that they had come and done is they came to the resort tax and said, we have to have matches for some of this. If there's parks, can the city come and do this? That's part of it, but it's like, okay, but what about maintenance? This is not a one, it's like buying a dog or a horse or, that you're not done. That's just the initial investment. You're going to have vets and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for city resources.
And you also have to look at the pool. I mean, there was a great, huge public support for that, and they raised a lot of money.
Right.
But right now, in our budget, we're paying $98,000 a year for a bond payment, plus we're paying we're over $100,000 a year to keep a pool open for 3 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And so, but the public wanted it, and I personally felt it was a very important thing for kids to be able to learn how to swim. But that's over $200,000 a year to have a pool that's open 3 months out of the year. But it's all resort tax. And that's, so those are choices the city has to make in all of this. So.
And I'm just going to throw in, thank you for coming here and asking those questions.
I know.
That's why we do this, is so people will come and provide an opportunity to ask the questions. And there's occasionally, oh, heck, we haven't thought of that yet, but we'll get back. But that's also part of the very intentional and deliberate, we don't push things through. We allow the process to happen and the conversations to take place.
Well, I appreciate the fact that land use and planning is going through this, setting up this protocol. And
yes.
From what I understand from last night, that the projects going forward will all have to go through all of
Even,
them. Yeah.
even if you want to plant a memorial tree in a park, there'll be a process you have to follow. It probably won't go to city council, but you're probably gonna have to get Parks Board to say, yeah, that's great, and, make sure it's not interfering with any user group who might throw, a Frisbee at it or something. I don't know.
And
You know?
that was an we didn't have any details on some of these other things either, but we knew that was coming. Hey, we're applying for grant, okay, well, we better have a process in place so that it can be open, transparent, give everybody a shot, and it's the same today, tomorrow, and 4 months from now, or 4 years from now.
And it's also not just our park, it's any city-owned land,
Any
because
city-owned property.
we have had discussions about people wanting to build workforce housing on city-owned land. So we have no process in place right now for that to happen. So this is part of that process as well.
But the problem is, it's all happening. It's not like we can put a hold on everything for a year while we put this process in place. It's that if you go back and watch any of those meetings, it's like, we're loading this boat up, but we're building the boat while we're moving.
While we're on it.
This stuff's in motion, and we've done our best to follow. So like, even when they put in, the living fence up by the observatory, we followed the process to the best we could at that point. And so like I said, we're going for that consistency for all city-owned resources.
I think that's important for us residents to see that you're doing that, so I appreciate that.
Yes.
Lastly, I'm in total agreement with Public Works about getting the sidewalks plowed here in town, or shoveled in town. I walk just about everywhere, every day, and in the residence too. We try to take care of ours as soon as that snow, gets there. So, we're in support of that, and I think a lot of other people would be too. I can't speak for anybody else, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's really problematic sometimes walking down Broadway. And
Okay.
we had my little grandkids were here, walking on the sidewalks to the grocery store.
Well, and we have handicap accessibility, but if you have a snow berm covering where they're supposed to be able to access the corner of the sidewalk in a wheelchair, not everybody's mobile. We do have handicapped people,
Or-
visitors or tourists or a stroller or, all of that, so.
And as you hear, we have open discussions and debates even amongst staff. So I've had the meetings with where I've called my public works director and my chief of police in, and we have a conversation and, well, you need to write some tickets, and then we'll see if we need to do anything else. So, and you've been involved in some of those in other areas, so.
So thanks for the work.
Thank you, Hope.
Yeah.
Any other public comments? Yes, Becky?
Sorry, Becky Van Horn. Could you explain, Mike, what's the 80,000 going into Pride Park for?
Yeah, we're doing, the planters that are there all rotted out.
The bench planners?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're gonna do concrete planters, hopefully it'll last longer, hopefully have a little more, got two different designs, but basically similar footprint, made out of concrete, like stucco finish, benches that are, either like a precast concrete bench or a synthetic wood so they don't rot. And then we're gonna redo that slab that it's on, because when they did that slab, they just put like a pigment on top.
Mm-hmm.
It's all coming off now, and you
Yeah.
can see the grade. And when we do that, there was the, part of the design included like, kind of a change in the concrete or whatever, I don't know how you say it, but where it would look like Rock Creek flowing through there.
Oh, cute.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then probably a new light fixture, that hangs up there. And we're gonna add, while we have it tore up, redo the irrigation system and run power to the planters themselves.
Cool, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I presented to you guys that we do have enough evidence to put, Lions Park onto the historic register of, National Register of Historic Places. So, I do want to, bring that forward to you guys. That is an option that we can do. And we could potentially even do that for Pride Park as well, so that, these parks have historical designations. So, just something for you guys to think about. I actually had someone offer to, cover the cost
can I ask you, how old does the park have to be historic? Because Pride Park is relatively new. It used to be a bar and it
Right.
burned down.
Yes.
And, and,
And I think that actually makes it kind of even more
Okay.
historic because of its relationship with Noreen, the Outlaw Queen, Noreen Linderman with
yeah,
King Doors.
okay.
Yeah, so I think that, that there is options where we can do that and we can put the plaque on it and, you know, kind of tie it all into the historic nature of the town, I think.
I think where that land use and planning is probably the appropriate standing committee to introduce that to,
Sure.
and then have them discuss it and add it to their agenda. Is this something they want to take up and go from there?
I have.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
Not for Pride Park necessarily, but for Lions Park, I
Right.
have brought that to their attention.
Okay.
Send another email for Pride Park,
Oh, sure,
so
yeah.
that I,
Yeah, because I think that would be great.
Does having historic designation make it harder to do things like replace planters?
No,
And-
actually, that's not
Yeah.
what it does at all, actually.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
I don't blame you.
No, I was curious what the plan was, because, you know, what you could always do, because it's city-owned land, so the city can still do whatever they want with the land.
Well,
I think
there's,
Mike's question is
Am I gonna
is
have?
that an extra obstacle to deal with when maintaining it? And the answer is no. You could, so I'll give you an example if I'm familiar with. So Regis, she added that to the historical register a year or so ago. The reality is, somebody could buy that place tomorrow and come in and level it. The hope is that they'll say, oh, do I really want to level someplace that's on the historic register? But that's really the extent of additional obstacle. Correct me if I'm speaking out of turn.
No, and you're
but-
totally right about that, and Pride Park is within the, historic commercial district already, just based off its location.
right,
So, you know, when I was contacted about I've been contacted by other agencies before about, like, giving reviews on different areas. You know, I drove all the way out into the Priors because they were gonna put, a transmission, like a telephone, internet transmission tower out there, you know, like, because there was a log cabin. You know, I mean, like, people contact me about these things all the time, which I appreciate, and I'm willing to go and do the research to look at it, but, you know, in downtown Red Lodge, that park does have, you know, connections with the past and even the building that used to be there as well, so
yeah.
I think it would be, you know, an interesting and,
Well, council already this year designated a respite park so that it would not be able to have like the commercial
yeah.
pop-ups and things like that in
Yeah.
it, so that it was specifically designed for people to rest and
Yeah.
enjoy the flowers, and we already did that. But the one thing that we have talked about that nothing has ever come of is like trying to get some type of bathroom there for people as well, since they're studying and, you know, but that's a whole other, you know, huge thing that
I
it's
think
gonna take
on a
years,
wider
but,
scale, it's, and by the way, I went to the project and wanted money for public restrooms somewhere, and I didn't get to vote either, so I didn't, on which projects were put together there, but that's one that we have put on our be available. One of the deficiencies, I guess I'll put it, one of the ball drops that I've had is there have been a couple of different grants that we have become aware of too late to do anything about it. So there was one grant, not this grant, but not the tourism grant, but there was a grant that the foundation came to us to do, and basically we said go ahead and do it because we didn't feel like we were in a position. And quite literally, if I sat down with Mike, Mike's like, I'd have written one up for it,
yeah.
So we are proactively having projects sitting at the ready from a city standpoint, so we can take advantage of those funding opportunities as they become available. Because quite frankly, the Pride Park is one that we probably could have gotten some money to take advantage of to do that. And when the question came up, it didn't even cross my mind because we'd already allocated and budgeted for it. We hadn't spent it yet. We'd have gladly spent somebody else's money rather than ours. That's how we get things done in this town, is spending other people's money when you're a small town like this.
Especially grant money.
Yeah.
Do you guys have your own grant writer on the city?
We do not. They have had, and there's been, so the short answer is we do not.
although Danae has now been trained in writing grants,
Yeah.
and she did get a couple of great grants for the police
Great,
department.
Great West, Great Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we have several different folks that we contract out to depending on what they are.
That's several under DNRC grants.
Yeah, and Mike's done some, Danae's done some, but we.
The big ones we go to.
Our staff, we're already overstaffed for what our budget allows, so we have not added a new one to that. That's my, remember to wrap up the meeting alarm.
Mhm. Yeah.
But we are hiring a staff position, and that is one of the criteria that's in that evaluation. But we do not currently have a dedicated grant writer. There was a time that the city did have one, and it didn't last very long. It didn't work out well.
Okay, I should ask, Abby, did you have any comments? I see you're our guest online today.
Nope, I'm good. I'm just listening in.
Okay, thank you for doing so. Thank you for participating. All right, any other comments before we adjourn? Anyone? Okay,
Thank you.
meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your being here.
That'd be cool.